Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Elizabeth Spraggins, and I am the founder of All Joy Inspired. I am also the owner of Digging from Darkness, Living in Light, which is a community that's been created for folks who have been through some things in their lives and they found their way to the other side. And it's their way to give back to the community and to their fellow man or woman to show them and show them how to make it through to their other side as well. So today is April 22nd, 2023, and today's topic is healing self-sabotage, because I'm not sure if you've all been through anything in your lives. I know I made it a championship lifetime of going through one thing or another at certain points, and I can tell you I have decades of experience figuring out how to get through trauma. And that led to some habits that haven't always been awesome. And in fact, it took me about 25 years to get my head out of my butt and realize I was hurting myself with coping mechanisms I thought were actually working for me to leave those traumas and those terrible things that happened in life in my past. And I know that at least at one point in your life, one thing terrible happened. Either you lost a loved one or your childhood had some pretty dark things in it. Or maybe you were married and the marriage didn't work out, but that was against your will. Or you were done wrong at a job. At one point or another, when something happens to you, we can consciously or unconsciously set ourselves up with coping mechanisms that might not be so awesome. And observing those behaviors and habits can put us in a bad position in life. So we're going to get this show on the road. But before we begin, I want to send my love out to Beardo and all the fellows at Beard Vet. Beard Vet and Beard Vet products, owned and operated by veterans. They're good people. They don't judge. They don't care where you've been in life. If you're a good person, that's all they care about. So Beard Vet and Beard Vet products, awesome people, great company. I highly recommend it. And besides, the coffee's really good. All right, you guys, let's have some fun today. Well, let's have a good show today. You'll see. You ever find yourself trying to change your ways just to go right back to the bad habits that got you into a mess in the first place? Like maybe you're just really bad at marriage, or you're terrible with money, or you haven't really taken care of yourself physically. Or you find yourself always making excuses about why you can't do something or why it's someone else's fault. In today's show, we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about how to resolve these habits. Woo-woo. Give me a second. I'm turning this damn music down. I do love having music on in the background. And my broadcasting mentor, Benny Maines from Philadelphia. Benny, I love you, Benny. Benny has informed me that music is for special guests and other accessories to the actual chat of the show. I love you, Benny. You're my hero. I like my damn music. Okay, so back to where we were. I still think you're my hero, Benny. You are my hero. So we're getting back to the subject. We've all done some things in life which we regret, right? Unless you're a liar. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody I know is perfect. We've all done some things we regret. Why do we do that? Why do we make choices which we later regret? Well, they could be coming from childhood experiences. Maybe a relationship went bad when you thought everything was going great. Or you might have low self-esteem. Not because you're a loser, but because something happened and it kind of shook up the way that you see yourself, and now you have questions, or it transformed what you thought about who you are. Or you have difficulty reconciling. You have a hard time being proven wrong for one reason or another. So when somebody confronts you with information to change your point of view about something, that could cause you to go into a tailspin. That's also a reason that people develop self-destructive habits. Okay. Or, all of these things, they kind of wrap up into oh, Facebook, be quiet. It sends me some reminders. I'm telling you what. Try to be serious here, Facebook. Okay, Benny, you didn't see that. I'm going to get a talking to you later. I'm sorry. It's Saturday night, you guys. It's Saturday night. And I have nothing but love for all of you out there because even though I'm in a different place in life, I still have decades, a lifetime of hurt and darkness and confusion and just really screwing things up. And it took me a really powerful experience to understand everyone goes through that. Everyone. No matter how together a person looks and no matter how amazing their life appears, every single human being goes through something that challenges them or makes them question themselves, or they look in the mirror one day and they're just like, what am I doing? So yeah, I still deal with things. I feel differently about them now because now I've figured some things out. And that's what we're doing here today is we're going to help you figure some things out. And hopefully that will give you a jumping point to maybe start trying new things, which could result in life being a little different for you. Maybe happier, maybe less stressful, you know? But when you're usually expecting things to go wrong, we all have that friend. Maybe it's you. We don't know. But at one point, we all have that friend who's very negative, who's just very, very heavy on the energy in the air, always down, always complaining, always blaming everyone for everything that's happening in their lives. And when opportunities come their way or maybe your way, and you're like, why would I even bother? I have no chance. I have no shot. We all know somebody like that, even if it's you. I myself have done that. I have looked at opportunities and thought, that's a joke. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that. I first started thinking about leaving the adult industry years ago. And initially, the backlash I got from my fan base, not even the public in general, but the fan base, where they would say these really mean and nasty things about how I'll never be anything but known for sex work. And I'm kind of like, they might be right. I believed it at the time because I felt a certain way about myself. And I had this heavy, heavy guilt for doing what I was doing for a living because it didn't align with who I was. So if you're feeling bad about yourself and then you pile on top of that nasty, crappy things that other people are saying or doing to you, it's going to put you in a place where you're going to make decisions that aren't so awesome. I've been there. I coach people who are working their way through to the other side, people who have successfully navigated this process. And I can tell you, everyone goes through it. Maybe to a different degree, and maybe your situation is a little bit worse or ongoing, but these things can change. It's a choice that you make. But when you always expect bad things to happen and you constantly believe that no matter what you do, you are going to be a failure, that happens because of these experiences. We're going to go into this today. I'm not going to keep you guys a super long time because this is the second show this week. And I want you guys to get used to coming back here on Saturdays or watching the replay. All right, here we go. Self-sabotage. Where does it come from? I mean, why would somebody go to the trouble of trying so hard just to screw themselves up? How do we recognize what these behaviors are in order to be able to stop them? I mean, where do we even begin? And are there more than one ways that people do this to themselves? Yeah, listen up. Self-sabotage is how we handle stress. Think about this. When you're under a deadline, what do? Do you procrastinate? Do you make excuses about why it'll never get done? Before you even begin to try, have you already told yourself you're not going to make it? These thoughts, these habits are learned. And because they are learned, that's a great thing. When something is taught to you either by experience or a person or a belief, it means that you are able to unlearn them. And sometimes we knowingly do these things. Maybe we're choosing to cheat on a diet. Oh, I'm trying really hard to lose weight, but it's somebody's birthday and I don't want to be rude, so I'm just going to have a piece of cake. Oh, but the host wanted to be generous and gave me a big piece of cake, and now I feel rude if I don't eat it. We knowingly do those things. Maybe picking fights with a spouse. I have been married more than a few times. It took me a few tries to land someone who was willing to go through life with me, the good and the bad. And yeah, one day I hope to have him on. I asked him last week if he would, and he was kind of like, not just yet. He's not comfortable yet, but maybe one day. Maybe you find yourself picking fights with your spouse or your loved ones or your friends. Are you really, really mean to your friends? Do you dump all of your stress and your problems on your friends and then feel better afterwards, only to not care how that makes them feel? I had a really, really good friend once. I loved her. We met and we immediately became good friends. And I still have love for her in my heart. But she would only call me or text me when she wanted to complain about her problems. Never asked me how I was doing. And I just got to understand that this was a part of who she was. Come to find out, it wasn't just me she did this to. She did it to someone special in her life as well. She's really mean to this person, unfair and cruel. And her cruelty to her home life eventually got so bad, my husband and I had to walk out of their lives. Now, I only wish her the best, and I hope that one day that she finds some peace, and maybe down the road we could be friends again. But until she gets herself together, that's not going to happen. So do you find yourself picking fights with people? Or maybe you constantly have to be right? Or you constantly have to show someone how you're better than them? This is not confidence. This is not being assertive. This is being a bully. Do you know somebody like that? Do you know somebody that no matter how kind or how generous or how loving you are, they've always got something nasty to say or something hateful or something negative? Boy, believe it or not, when people are like that, it's because they were taught to be like that. They were taught to be negative and hateful and I'm better than you, right? Or to ignore your needs. Yep. Or are you somebody that is afraid to take a risk on yourself? Ugh. God. I can't tell you how many times I have been presented with opportunities only for me to turn my back on them. I mean, I'm going to be 46 in about 7 weeks. It's about the half century mark, right? I've lived a lot of life. A lot of life. I have no regrets about the life that I've lived. Because I finally came to a place of peace and understanding that those things had to happen in order for me to be who I am today. Ooh, oh boy, though. But a few times, wonderful opportunities came across my path, and I didn't seize them because I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I could do it because for so many reasons and so many years, life or circumstance was the reason I didn't think I could do something wonderful, something amazing, and leave a legacy to the world. And then one day I woke up and got my head out of my butt, and I said, you know what, that's not right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sometimes we understand that we're doing these things, like when a job opportunity comes and you're like, nah. Or you pick a fight with your spouse and in your head you're like, what's wrong with me? Or you eat that piece of cake, or you choose to go drunk driving instead of calling, a ride. And sometimes we don't know when we're self-sabotaging. For instance, staying in an abusive relationship, and that could be ladies or gents. Believe it or not, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've met more men abused by their wives than wives abused by their husbands. I mean, the dynamic of society has changed where I believe men are told they're not allowed to have a say because that makes them toxic, which I think is bullshit. I think men are supposed to be men. And if a woman treats a man like a man, and a man treats a woman like a woman, then there's harmony. But I've known a lot of men who were told they're not allowed to be men in their homes. And when they try to assert what is rightfully theirs as their right to be a man in their house, I've known of women to abuse their marriage. And that's not right either. And I've also known a woman or two in, the distant past who met the same fate according to their spouses. Oh my goodness. Or it could be falling in love with someone who doesn't love you back. Do you constantly find yourself becoming attracted to people who really don't have anything to give you? They kind of string you along or they ghost you. That's a famous one for some folks. They like to draw attention in of people who admire them or want to share love with them or share life with them, only for them to, pick and choose the pieces of that person that they're going to take and appreciate. You know somebody like that? I know I do. I certainly know I do. Or maybe you're at work and your boss walks all over you, takes advantage of you, has you working an ungodly amount of hours. Or if you're a sex worker, maybe being coerced to do something that you've already said you're not comfortable doing. These are things that happen, and you don't want to rock the boat. This is an unconscious self-sabotage. When you don't want to rock the boat, you just want to maintain peace. You don't want to speak up and say, I don't want to do that, or you're not treating me right. It's a form of self-sabotage. Or altogether giving up on your goals. A lot of women, men and women, I don't want to exclude the men because there are a lot of single fathers out there. But a lot of men and women, when they find themselves in a new role of parenthood or obligation as a caretaker, they give up on their goals. They say, well, that was a fun ride. I got to do this now. Well, why can't you do both? Is it too hard? There's no money. I'm going to tell you, there's always a way. And if something is important enough to you, you will find a way. And I want you to think about a circumstance in your life when all of the cards were stacked up against you. You didn't think you were going to make it, but you were so determined. You were bent on making something happen. You found a way. It's like that with everything. Everything. In one way or another, if you really, really want something. So there are no excuses for giving up on your goals. Okay, guys. We are going to... Oh, one more. We're moving along, yo. In order to truly be free of self-destructive behavior and self-sabotage, we need to determine where it came from. At what point in your life something happened to you that caused you to think that behaving this way was going to be good for you. We're going to talk about that now. Okay, yep, you know what? I'm all over the place. We had a pipe break about 15 feet outside of this wall, and there's water coming through the ceiling, there's water flooding the floor, and it's been another one of those days. So I'm just going to chill like this for a second before we get back onto this road of being heavy. I'm going to try not to make this so heavy. I'm trying to educate you guys. In order to begin taking control back of these behaviors which don't serve you, which are bad for you, you got to figure out what happened in your life. What occurred to create this habit? At what point do you remember first believing this way? There's somebody who I deeply, deeply admire. His name is Todd Campbell, and he is a head facilitator of a powerful healing experience that I went through. And in fact, it was at one of his functions that I decided I was going to have the courage to step forward beyond the industry. excuse me, with the help of their staff and their coaches, of course. I want to give a shout out to Carla and Stevie Ray. And they were some of the ladies that I don't mention. I don't know if they ever watch my show, but Carla, Stevie Ray, I love you both. I love you both. But if you want information for that powerful healing experience, and it is deeply effective for some very heavy, very harsh trauma to get rid of it. And it is a weekend process, and I'll give you that information if you'd like. Okay. In order to take control back, we need to decide at what point this happened. It's like trying to step into a journey halfway through. You know, maybe trying to cut a tree without getting the roots. You have to go back to the root of something or it's just going to grow back. Maybe not the same way, but the bad habits that you do to sabotage yourself are just going to grow back if you don't go to the root to it. You have to figure out where it began. And, oh, you got to identify when you first felt that way. And that could be the first time you felt unwanted. Maybe something happened and it was a shock to your system and you're like, nobody wants me here. And it did you some damage. Or maybe you felt invisible. Maybe you were ignored when you were little and you became a people pleaser. Maybe somebody important to you decided they didn't want to be around anymore. Probably had nothing to do with you. But these things, they create habits. They burn these beliefs into your head. Or the first time you were manipulated. All of us divorcees, I mean, I'm married now, but if you've ever been divorced, you know what it's like to be manipulated. You know what it's like to experience that and try to move beyond somebody just blowing your mind with how deceitful or hurtful they could be. Being manipulated is not fun, and I can tell you, it can only happen one time for me now. Sometimes not even that. I see it coming, and I call it out faster than I take my breath. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing because it's a good thing when you don't let people walk all over you. Or maybe you have somewhere in your history you were abused. Different kinds of abuse. We don't need to go into that, but if you have been abused, you understand what I'm talking about. The earliest experience of abuse, especially if it was ongoing, they create behaviors and they create your vision of what it means to survive and what it means to be successful. Or abandoned. If somebody passed away, if somebody disappeared from your life and you had no indication it was going to happen, no warning, and it changed the way that you live your life, right? Oh, normally all these things happen in childhood, but of course they can happen as you're an adult. For instance, my in-laws, may my father-in-law rest his soul, married for 34, 35 years. My husband's parents. It explains why he puts up with a lot of my bullshit. I love you, honey. Oh my God. Married for more than 3 decades, and my father-in-law died 2 weeks after a recommended medical treatment, and left his bride of more than 3 decades alone for the first time. And it was a bit of a trauma for her. And thankfully, she's got a very loving family surrounding her where she lives, and they're taking care of her to make sure that she doesn't develop self-sabotaging habits. In fact, she's gotten some really good help, and she's in a good place now. It's been about a year and a half. Oh, or maybe you have been exposed to a lot of violence. People who've been exposed to a lot of violence and severity develop PTSD. And sometimes, if they don't get the help that they need, they develop things that make them habits that make them sabotage themselves. Okay, you guys, Oh my goodness. We are actually going to move forward with something, oh, wow, this is just a hard show to do, you know? Nobody likes being called on their bullshit. I didn't like being told I was a screw up, even by myself. When I had to look at my reflection in a mirror and say, "What's happening to you is your own damn fault." You're either allowing it to happen or you're actually doing these things to yourself. So when you decide to get your shit together, your life is gonna change for the better. I didn't like hearing that from myself. I didn't like, ooh, that was unfortunate. I didn't like hearing that I was screwing my own life up. You know why? Because it's easier to blame other people for the rotten things happening to you. It's easier to blame other people because if you actually take a look at yourself and you discover and you accept that your decisions are putting you in a place to be where you are, that means you're the one that has to do the work to change it. That means you're the one that has to stop making excuses. Sometimes that can be hard to heal. Here, UK. All right, we're going to take a quick sponsorship break. You guys are already halfway through the show today. Oh. At alljoyinspired.store, we have a variety of gifts to give to someone who's making changes. Make them smile. Whether that be a t-shirt or a funny coffee mug or even something inspirational. Our customer service is always standing by. And of course, we are a proud supporter of Beard Vet and Beard Vet products. All Joy Inspired Store. Thank you for supporting our mission. Cool beans. Cool beans. Okay. Oh, I can still hear it a little bit. Okay. But when you figure out when these things started, then you start to see a pattern of how you've lived your life as a result of that thing happening. Now, not everybody likes to look at their past because it's very painful. And there are professionals out there who can help you kind of work through these things. But for the purposes of coaching, I want to explain to you where these habits come from. And there are things that you can do to resolve these habits. I mean, do you find yourself maybe thinking, if I look a certain way, someone will be attracted to me? You're not even on camera for a living, or you're not an entertainer for a living, but you find yourself doing all these extra things to yourself. Or maybe you know somebody who's always looking in the mirror. They act impressed with themselves, but that's an act of negative self-image when somebody is stuck up on themselves, right? Or you don't even try new things because you're certain there's no way you could get it done. Or low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. It's not always a hateful thing to admit that your self-esteem has taken a few hits. How are you supposed to fix your life if you don't admit that there's a problem, right? Feeling needy. Do you know somebody who's clingy? Or maybe you've been clingy, or maybe somebody you were dating said you were clingy, suffocating, right? That's a symptom of low self-esteem. Or maybe being a people pleaser. Oh God, it's like a shitty thing to say. It's a terrible thing to say that someone is a people pleaser because it's insulting, because they're really giving their all and they want to be important to you and they want to be valuable to you and they want to show you that they're worth having around. In the process of giving so much of themselves, they leave their needs out of the equation. Being a people pleaser is a painful way to live. Painful way to live. And that's a learned behavior, right? Or feeling unworthy. Oh my gosh, I can live this song and dance for hours and hours and hours, but I'm not going to bore you. I myself, because of what I did for a living and the pain that I believed I was contributing to society, I didn't believe I was worthy of love from my higher power or worthy from respect from the community outside of that work. I didn't believe that anybody would listen to me because of how I had lived my life. And even though I took the steps and I'm taking more steps to move forward beyond it, I didn't think anybody would take me seriously. And then one day I realized I didn't care. Someone is going to listen to me on a planet of billions of people. Someone is going to think my words are okay and my advice is valuable. Or do you know somebody who constantly makes excuses about why something doesn't get done? About why they were an a-hole, or about why they are entitled to something over somebody who worked for it. We know somebody like this. We know many people acting like this today, where instead of working for something, they believe it should just be given to them because they exist. Yeah. Also, self-destructive behavior. Yep. Maybe not finishing what you start. Do you start things and for one reason or another, maybe you're making excuses, maybe stuff happens, but do you start things and not finish them and then justify why? Right? Or lashing out and blaming others for the bad things happening in your life. Right? Okay. Well, we all know some people like that. I had a tete-a-tete with someone today who just wanted to just smack me over my head with some mean words like I was going to bow down, and I'm like, "Bro, haven't we met? Don't you know me?" It was kind of a funny experience, really, because he thought that by saying some nasty things to me in a public forum, I was going to cower or apologize, and I'm like, "Nah. No. Hi. My name's Elizabeth Spraggins. Let's get to know each other better." Right? But these are things that people do to protect themselves when they act hostile, when they act in a way that they shrink away from people or they isolate themselves. Even these are things that people do to protect themselves from the pain that actually caused the behavior to begin with. They don't want to go through it again. All right, where are we at? Oh, yay! Now we get to the happy part. We're gonna get to some happy stuff now. Once you understand when and how in life these behaviors and habits were caused, now we're going to go back to that point and we're going to rescue that individual that was hurt, that was abandoned, that was betrayed, that was left, that was traumatized. And we're going to rescue that person. Yo, Beard Vet coffee, keeping me awake right now. I haven't slept for 4 days. It's been 4 days. Oh God. Okay, I'm doing my best. I am doing my best. So one of the tools that I learned to snap out of really messed up and self-destructive behavior was to figure out when this behavior first started. When was it born? When was the belief born? When did that shocking trauma occur? And then I want you to think of yourself as your knight in shining armor. Again, this is something I learned from a man named Todd Campbell, who, wow, just the guy's just like he's a genius. So we'll talk later about that if you want. Get a hold of me. Name's Todd Campbell. I want you to think of yourself now, today, as somebody who's going to go back to your past, to the moment when this person became traumatized, your younger self or your former self in the past. You're going to take this person today and you're going to go back and you're going to rescue that individual from the pain that that event caused. I want you to think of that person experiencing that shocking trauma for the first time. I want you to go back and I want you to talk to that person, whether it be a child that was experiencing these things, your younger self, or maybe, in adulthood or another time in life. I want you to go to that time. Imagine that you're going to that person and you're saying, everything's going to be okay. And you don't have to feel bad anymore because I'm going to take you out of this situation and I'm going to carry you with me now. And I'm going to protect you from now on from ever feeling that pain again. It's a mind Jedi thing. I swear to God, it really is. And that has a lot to do with Priya Sudar Sannam, and what she does for a living is the soul embodiment. And what that means is going deep into yourself and allowing your emotion to physically manifest, or the other way around. But her services are exceptionally healing. And we will have her on the show, and we will do things to show you what it is that she does. And hopefully you'll get a little bit of a feel for why her work is so wonderful. But I want you to think about that person who's just starting to hurt and just starting to cry or be scared or feel unwelcome or unloved. And I want you to take the person you are today, and I want you to imagine going back to your past and snatching that person up and carrying them with you from this day forward. And always taking care of that person who was hurt or unwanted or betrayed or abandoned. And you're going to take care of that person now. You're going to look at that person who you used to be, and you're going to tell them, you're not going to hurt anymore. I am going to love you, and I am going to be good to you, and I'm going to show you what life is supposed to be like before all of that happened to you. And everything is going to be okay. I am going to be your warrior. I am going to be your knight. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. I know. It's a bit of a heavy show, but there are some good things coming. Good things coming. And when you have that ability to go back to your past and tell yourself, you're going to be okay now. I am a stronger person today than I was when this thing occurred. And I'm going to make your life better by using my strength to pull you out of that trauma. And then every day when you catch yourself thinking about going back to your old habits, think about that person that you're carrying with you now, that you promised to protect, that you promised to love when nobody else did, or you promised to shield from pain that your habit is going to cause. Okie dokie. Into something lighter and happier and more positive. When you figure out what part of your past you're going to rescue, then it's time for you to fall back in love with yourself. It's time for you to undo the damage that was done and the habits that you used to use and the habits you're going to leave behind you, and replace them with new healthy habits. Yay! Yay! Because now you've got a responsibility. You can't ignore a responsibility. When you think of yourself carrying your former self with you everywhere you go, the moment you feel like you're going to screw up again, think about that person you're carrying around. You're responsible for that wounded person's joy, that wounded person's protection. Oh, it's such a mind trick. I'm telling you, it's a really wonderful thing. And it changes lives when this concept really sinks in. Oh my gosh, it really does. But falling back in love with yourself. Oh my God, no, it's not narcissism. It's not. It means you finally realize you've been giving yourself the short end of the stick and you're ready to start feeling some joy now. Or you realize that you can't depend on other people, and you should not depend on other people to make you happy. When you set your relationships up like that for failure by putting your happiness in somebody else's hands, that's not fair to them. How can you expect someone to be happy with you if you're not happy with yourself? What are you offering them to work with, except the burden of your constant misery? You got to work on yourself. You've got to make yourself happy and healthy in your heart and your mind in order to be of value to people. Has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with your weight or other things that you can control, like where you live or the school you went to or the job you have. You want to be wonderful for somebody you love. Become a healthy, happy person mentally. And you can do that by falling in love with your world, yourself, and how you think your life should be. What makes you happy? What really makes you happy? Wow. Do you like working for yourself? I know some people don't. Some people don't want that responsibility, and cool. excuse me, some people don't want the headache of the paperwork or the taxes or anything else that goes with running your own business. Or maybe they just are happier going with the flow. And then cool. If you're happy, I congratulate you. But if you find yourself being unhappy in life and you're working towards finding ways to become happy with your world, it's important for you to get a sense of control. And how do we get a sense of control in our lives? By determining that we have a say. We can make decisions and we can make choices to determine how life is going to be for us. And you can't put that power in somebody else's hands and expect them to get it right. And then how unfair would it be for you to get angry with them that they can't figure it out? A lot of fights in relationships begin this way, when men or women expect their spouses to read their minds and figure it out. Holy crap. How many men do you know? How many husbands or wives do you know that say in an argument, I'm not a mind reader. Why don't you just tell me what it is that you need so I can do that? Right? I can't tell you how many people have said this in my presence. Yeah, gents, ladies, your spouses aren't mind readers. Be outright. Say what it is that you need to be happy. Set them up for success and give them the choice to do it or not do it. But the same thing works for yourself. You have to tell yourself what it is that you need to be happy. What changes need to be made in your life for you to feel like a whole person, like you're living the life that you're meant to live. Okay. I know I'm all over the place today. Seriously, way sleep deprived. This is what it looks like to not get stuck, but get started. Again, operating by example, living, teaching by example. Don't get stuck, get started. Oh my goodness, where are we at right now? Okay. Also, one of the things that you want to do when you're learning how to be happy as a person is to say no. Learn it's okay to say no. If somebody's mistreating you, look them in their face and say no. I'm not going to accept that. You have two choices. You can stop it or no longer be a part of my life. Yeah. That includes your friends, your colleagues, or people you might be in a relationship with. If you find yourself being mistreated, today's the day you can change that. Today's the day, and you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be hostile. You can just say, hey, I'm done with that. You're not going to treat me that way. People take advantage of you a lot. Do they? Do you constantly find yourself draining your energy and your resources to do something nice for someone for them not to care? Or maybe to throw it in your face? We've all been there. And the day that you say, I'm not going to do that anymore, believe you me, you become a much happier person. Life becomes awesome at that point. All right. Whenever you're still, excuse me. Wow. My show notes. No kidding. 6 pages. Six pages. Holy crap, yo. Oh my God. Oh. Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm so grateful in life. I have looked at death in the face a few times, and I'm not making this up. I wouldn't be the person I am today if that didn't happen to me. I have genuinely thought I was going to die on more than a few occasions. I have lived an interesting life, and if you've ever genuinely thought you were going to die, you probably have some of the same gratitudes for little things. But there are people that thankfully haven't had to go through that. It changes you. It changes you and it opens up a new understanding of the world. And I'm trying to bless that forward to people. So maybe it won't take that experience for them to feel lucky or blessed in life. Because not everybody's into the Bible, and I get that. I get that. I still want to bring you joy. I still want to bring that relief from feeling like you're in a dark place. And it is possible. It is totally possible. But I'll tell you what, absolutely being certain you're about to die, that does it. Right then and there, that does it. Okay, we are now going to spend a few minutes talking to you guys. You guys are very patient with me, and we've gone through some wacky stuff lately. All right, we are getting to the questions and answers. Wait, wait. Oh, honey, if you don't address me in English, I can't understand you. I have an itch in my throat. Woo! Hmm. I don't know what any of that means. Oh, you said I love you. Those were English. Okay. Thank you. I love you back. Is yours name real? Yeah, my name is real. It's one of the reasons I decided to come forward with my legal name. One, so someone didn't feel like they had the power over me by telling the public my real name. I said, I'm going to do it first. Hey, everybody, my name's Elizabeth Marianne Spraggins. Boom. Now nobody can make my day awful for me by outing me to the public. I've seen that happen to a lot of performers. Just said I'm going to beat you to the past. Yeah, my name's real. And another reason I came forward with my legal name is because I own a corporation and a couple of LLCs, and that is all public information. So it's just a matter of time before the information got out anyway. Oh, snap. Jamal, your birthday's tomorrow. Happy birthday to you. You are awesome so much. I love you, Jamal. Jamal, you're a good dude. Happy birthday, man. Aw. Thank you, Facebook user who didn't give StreamMate permission to use their name. I appreciate the love, whoever you are. And that means a lot to me. It really does. I make jokes, but I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate that. Low self esteem can be from adults who say you're worthless. Sometimes. Sometimes, because if you are in a place of peace with the very root of that belief, if you make peace with that, other adults saying you're worthless won't affect you anymore. Excuse me, I have such an itch in my throat. Holy crap, what is wrong with me today? Um, perfect example. Perfect example. I used to get on all the time by the public. All the time. Because people feel entitled to do that. Social media is like a melting pot for nut jobs and a-holes. Oh my God. Out of the millions of people who contact me, and I do not, over the last 15 years, millions of people, there are the, what's the word I'm looking for? Reliable few, reliable some, I should say, who aren't completely cruel. And after a period of time, you learn to stop listening to what they say. But for the fragile mindsets of people on camera and in the public eye, public opinion can make the difference between their income and their poverty. So they kind of have to listen to people when they say certain things, and then it goes too far. And they try to please people by becoming what the public expects or what they ask for. Yeah, I did that to a certain extent, and people used to make me feel bad. And then I realized I don't care. I just don't care anymore. What do you have to lose? If somebody's trying to make you feel worthless, that's because they have an issue with themselves, and they're not going to feel like they're important or that their machismo is in check unless they can make somebody else feel bad. Kind of like a schoolyard bully. I dealt with that today, actually, which is funny that you bring this up. Somebody was trying to make me feel bad about something, and I was like, and when you are at peace with who you are, other people don't have permission or the ability to make you feel bad about something. Wonderful, far from perfect. I want to give you a big hug right now, Facebook user. Facebook user. Tomorrow is Earth Day. What? April 22nd is Earth Day. Today is Earth Day. Well, when the are the aliens getting here? Because I need something else to kind of shake up my day. So much is happening these days. I'm saying, where's Chris when you need him? Chris, where you at? You here? Thank you, Michael. Oh, you saw that, huh? You saw that. So what Michael's referring to you guys is somebody that initially came into my attention being kind of snarky, kind of nasty, and I thought we had resolved that hostility, but for whatever reason, that individual just feels comfortable just lashing out and saying really terrible things to me, but I refuse to back down. And I need to show other entertainers, other sex workers, they don't have to tolerate that. They don't have to appease people. In fact, the number one mistake a person can make if they're in the public eye is apologize for something they truly believe in. Right. Never ever apologize for having a conviction, for having a belief. Because the second you do that, you become somebody's bitch. It's the truth. And I refuse to be at the mercy of somebody else's feelings. And you shouldn't want to either. Hello, Facebook user. All right, you guys. Want to wish Jamal a happy birthday again, Jamal. You are such an amazing human being. Oh, I know stuff's been so crazy lately for you, but I see things about you. I see it all around you in the way that you treat people and the things that you share. Yeah, I see a legacy inside you just aching to come out. We're going to talk some more, Jamal. You guys, it is Saturday night. Today is April 22nd, 2023, and sending my love out one last time to Beard Vet and Beard Vet Coffee because when nobody else in the world believed in me, they did until I met other wonderful people who did as well. Guys, don't forget, if you love the show, if you love my company or what it is that I'm doing, please go to alljoyinspired.store and make a gift purchase. All proceeds go to support our mission to reach out to people who need it the most. And those are people of all walks of life. No, we don't discriminate. We welcome everyone who wants to make a change. We especially reach out to those who are struggling really, really hard for one reason or another. That's it, you guys. Have an amazing day. My name is Elizabeth Spraggins. I am the founder of All Joy Inspired and the owner of Digging from Darkness, Living in Light. Thank you for being such an important part of my life. I wish you guys a safe weekend, and I will see you next Saturday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.